Greetings everybody from sunny northwestern Iowa. Matuska Taxidermy Thursday afternoon live. What are you looking at? Do I have a spot on my shirt or something? Right there. And I'm here with Brett Wingfield and our camera crew. And today I think we're going to show you some mule deer things. I had quite a day today. I can't tell you about my day.
How was your day? Why can't you tell me? I need to know.
I was attacked by a pit bull. It was this pit bull.
Pit bull?
In the shop. There was a pit bull in the shop, and I like dogs.
Wild pit bull?
He was wild. He was wild, all right. I walked up to him, and I'm bending over like this to pet him, and he started growling, and I thought, I can overcome any growling dog. You know, they like me. Dogs like me. And you know, sometimes they really like me. Anyway, I go down and I go to pet him, and he snapped at me. I was scared.
I was scared standing next to you, and it is a cute little bulldog, but it is a beefcake.
It's not a pit bull?
It's a bulldog.
Well, it had bull in the name, and I was scared.
I was scared watching you.
I was scared.
How scared were you?
I was so scared. I was more scared than a tomcat in a room full of rocking chairs. That's how scared I was. I was scared. And he growled and he snarled, and then the teeth would hang up like that, and his lips hang down like that, and I thought my mouth would fit in there, my head would fit in there. I was scared. Anyway.
Well, I'm glad you got over that. That's good.
Yeah, I'm still shaking. Today we're going to show you a few things about a mule deer, and this is going to be an ongoing continuing. We're not going to get finished today. We're going to show you, tell you a little bit about form selection, about the mannequins, the noses. We're going to set some antlers. We're going to show you what we do to the cape to prep the cape prior to mounting. We're going to show you ears, how to model the ears on here. So we're gonna go as far as we can. We're not gonna get the mule deer mounted, but we will be able to, you know, kind of probably break it down into maybe a 3 or 4 part series. And I think we'll even end up showing you finishing this mule deer by the time we're done. So I guess we'll get started with that.
And make sure to like and share the video. We do a giveaway at the end of every show, and we have last week's winner, so make sure to share for the chance to win next week. And this week we're giving away a very nice mule deer book. And again, the guys are live, so they'll answer any of your questions. Just comment below, and they will try to answer them to the best of their ability.
We'll answer them to the best. No ability needed. So you've got a mule deer in the mouth. Cape it out, evaluate the condition. We like to take several measurements. When we cape a deer, I want to double check that the deer we're working on is the deer we took in, so nothing gets mixed up. So we will always tag the deer with a tag. And of course, most of you know how to punch your animals. Here's our identification punch. This particular mule deer went to the tannery. Sometimes we will tan our capes here.
And explain to me what your dots mean.
They're just holes. I just thought I'll put a bunch of holes in, then I'll know it's this guy's. No. The first row, as he's facing away from me, as you're looking at him now, the first row is hundreds, the second row is tens, the third row is ones. So this one would be 200, and 4 tens is 40, and 4 ones is 4. 244. So this customer's name goes in a notebook. We will write the size of the deer that we think it is. We will write any identification marks like bullet holes in the neck, or who knows what they can have, different damages, cut throat, whatever we might want to know. And then we'll put down that number. And was 244. And so that when we get this back from the tannery, we can look at that punch code, and 244 will apply to this customer. And even if we tan them ourselves, we still punch them like that so that we can identify them, and this customer's name went in the book with that number. So you don't have to worry about getting things mixed up. When we skin these, whether it's whitetail, mule deer, elk, whatever it happens to be, we like to, if there's any portion of the neck in, we will measure that. Write it down. But when we write it down, we also realize if you're measuring the carcass, upon death, that carcass wilts. So if this deer happened to be a 21-inch neck measuring the carcass, I'm going to bet that the skin is probably legitimately a little bit more, maybe an inch to two bigger. So we kind of watch that. But I do want to write down what I think he is. So we will take the hide green right off the animal, stretch him out don't stretch him too far, because if you stretch him too far, you're going to shorten up the brisket. You want to leave him in a nice length and just bring the skin out. And this deer, most of the time, if we skin him here, it'll be we do a lot of tube cuts. Out of there. We do a lot of tube cuts. This particular deer came to us caped out, so it's opened up all the way, and we'll show you how to deal with that too. We've got a pretty cool sewing machine.
What's a tube cut?
To make it into a tube cut. That's what
is a tube cut?
Oh, I'm sorry. Tube cut is the little V incision, T incision, whatever customers want to do, or taxidermists want to do, from the antlers back, and then it's a shortened neck incision down the back of the neck, and you try to get all of the skull and the neck and everything out that little short incision. Then you actually have a tube. The whole neck is in a tube, and you can slide it onto the mannequin. When it's opened up like this, you can position him onto the mannequin like this and sew the entire way, or we'll show you our machine that does it for you.
Fancy machine.
So I like to stretch this out on a green hide. This one's already tan. Stretch him out like that. You notice I'm not pulling on him really, really hard. Pulling on him a little bit, and then we'll take a tape measure, and we will measure. Most of your game heads, like your white-tailed mule deer, are two measurements. One right behind the ears, one over the atlas. One would be right behind the ears. Here's where the ears go, in the narrow part of the neck. The next measurement is over the atlas. Many catalogs will give you a mid-neck. Be careful of the mid-neck, because this mid-neck will vary 2 inches if you go an inch this way or an inch that way. So that mid-neck is pretty misleading. Be careful with the mid-neck. I think do we have mid-necks on our website, I think? Something to go by. We have all the mid-neck measurements.
I have them. If you need them, you can call.
Yeah.
We're kind of slowly getting them.
So pretend this was a green deer, and I'm over 20. I'm a pretty strong 20. My next measurement, a couple inches down, 2.5 inches down over the atlas, is about a 22. And his nose to eye, I believe, was 7.5 inch nose to eye. And that measurement, the nose to eye measurement, don't take it after the animal's caped off. Take it before you skin him, because after it's caped off, this can be long. You can stretch it out long, or you can artificially compress it. So you don't want to take just a skin measurement. You want to measure it as it's on the animal before you start skinning. And like I said, this one came to us this way, so we used all skin measurements. Yeah. Once you get your animal skinned out and tanned, we send it to the tannery. This one went to a commercial tannery. And then at that time, I think we deal with the mannequin, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We would get the mannequin all prepped up. We've got some fleshing to do after it comes back from the tannery. We can do face work and ears. Kind of 2 parts. We've got the mannequin work and we've got the prep work for tape.
And how do you pick a mannequin on this?
Based on the measurements that you've got, we have a pretty good invoice on this one with good instructions from our customer. He chose a semi-sneak. Gave us an ear attitude, so ears were semi-back. Gave us the right turn, chose the direction, left to right, and we just went to the catalog, followed our measurements. So we came up with this Sage Brush form. Fits our measurements and fits our customer requests.
And why would you pick a sagebrush form?
That's all we got. No, these Sage Brush forms mount a beautiful mule deer. They really do. It's fun to work on. This is a really fun business to be in when things fit and things look good, and Sage Brush mannequins make it fun. They really do. They look great. We've had really good feedback on them lately. We've sent a few out to a couple of people in the western states in the last couple of weeks and had some fantastic feedback. The Sage Brush form has been with us for 5-6 years already. And the new feature, the new nose feature, is something we're getting some feedback on, and
They've been
so
flying
far
off the shelf too.
it mounts really well. We're excited.
Can't make the noses quite fast enough. All this is made in-house at the Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company. We literally sell Sage Brush Mule Deer by the pallet loads. Am I lying?
No, you're correct.
They fly off the shelves. A lot of Western customers call us up. I just had a person call the other day, said he entered or he mounted a mule deer with the nose, with the new eyes, with Brian Olson's ears, and he said it's a competition deer. He said he doesn't have to do anything special to it. I mean, he's that confident in it. So it's a tremendous product. We're pretty proud to have them, and they're sculpted by Brian Olson, Pat Wagner, Mark Goddard, and they're just they have a really nice, graceful, semi-sneak attitude, real natural mule deer attitude. You can get them with the replacement nose or without. You can use your foam nose. Nicely detailed, not overly detailed, but beautifully detailed. And we've mounted several of them ourselves, and we wouldn't pick anything else. They're pretty nice. And now we'll be getting some larger sizes. There's a lot of people asking for larger sizes, and we're getting those pretty soon. And we just can't keep up. We have a little beehive filling orders, and
busy little bee.
It is, yeah. So the first thing, once you get your hide to where we're thinking about mounting this deer, we like to put the mule deer on a stand. We have the antlers just on there temporary for right now. I'm gonna take those off, and I'm gonna test fit this. You always, we suggest always test fitting once your hide is tanned. If it's wet tanned, we still soak our wet tans, even though they say take a wet tan out and you can either mount it or freeze it or whatever you want to do with it. We think we get them back to size a little bit better by soaking them when they come in. So to soak our wet tans, we'll fill up the sink. I always like to put a handful of salt in, a little bit of bactericide. This goes in there, and it doesn't take very long. They're already wet. They soak up really good. We'll take them out, drain them, spin them in the wash machine, spin them in your wife's wash machine.
Don't tell the secrets.
And the way not to get caught, because I did it for years, is to, once you're done spinning out this mule deer, run a rinse cycle through, and they'll never know.
And do not put them in a front load washer, because the washer locks and it will go from spin cycle to rinse. Don't do that.
Oh, I don't know about that stuff. Did you ever have deer hair on any of your clothes when you were a little girl?
It mixed in with the dog hair.
No, you didn't.
And the live deer that we raised.
No, you didn't. All right, I think to start with, and you did this last week, correct?
We did that so fast last week, you didn't even see it. It happened so fast.
Yes, we had a contest last week, and if you want to see, I modeled. By the way, did anybody read John Bellucci's comment? He called and said, I won.
What did you win?
I won the contest.
I think sometimes just entering a contest is winning enough.
Thanks, John. But anyway, this is the new mule deer replacement nose, and if you go back to last week's, we had a little contest. I carved out the nose, which takes at least, to do both, I never ever got finished, hour at least, to do a nice job and finish the inside. And I suppose if it took me an hour, I was soundly defeated by 57 minutes, I would say, because Brett was able to take this, no prep work at all. This is already receives it. You didn't have to cut this out, right?
Correct.
It's already like that. And you put a little hot glue on it, stuck it in there, and declared yourself the winner. You know, so.
But we also we use hot glue. You can use Bondo, you can use epoxy, whatever you're most comfortable with. We've got an extra strength hot glue that works really well for us. This is the same form that was on there last week. It's not coming off, so it works pretty well.
We have a, you know, like you mentioned hot glue, you can use Bondo, you can use anything. We have a really fun class right now that started this week.
Yes, we do.
What I've been going around telling them, I do not care how you do anything, it's the end result. If you want to use hot glue, fine. If you want to use Bondo, fine. If you want to use maple syrup, if it works for you, fine. If it falls off, no. But it doesn't matter the technique. A lot of you are going to say, why would you do that when I've always done this and it works good? If it works for you, do it. I won't argue technique, but I will argue the end result.
I think we should address John Bellucci's comment on the thing, because there's a couple of sides to it. But John said last week as we were doing the mule deer nose, I always hand shape nostrils on the form. Why? All castings are made from a dead deer, thus they have dead non-details. Live deer have a drop in the rear nostril interior cartilage that lifts when the animal dies. I've tried all cast noses and decided I can do better recreating the live deer using my skills and experience over the casting from a dead deer. Even Tom just sculpted the correct nostril interior lobe, so Tom knows what I know. Way to go, Tom. But what would your comment be on the dead deer part?
My comment would be that, try one of these first. Get one and look at it. These were cast from a dead deer, just like you did a whitetail from the dead deer and then remodeled.
Meticulously sculpted.
So they're sculpted, just like the mannequin.
Remodeled from good photographs, our live deer. You know, you can look at live deer and do that, and nobody's going to do it perfect, but I'll guarantee you that this is more symmetrically symmetrical and better looking than I could do. But thanks, John.
No, Brian's a tremendous sculptor, and if you look at it when you receive it, you'll see how much work he's actually done in sculpting and modeling that for both symmetry, which is very hard to achieve from just the cast form, and to make your job easier for fit. It is, the nostrils are even, they're opened a little bit to accommodate.
And let's give John a little credit too. John is not your average taxidermist. John's a sculptor. John has been in this business forever. Not everybody can carve that out like people that have done this for years. So,
very true.
So though that might be the method for John, 75% of people are better off letting somebody do it for them, I think.
Just like maple syrup.
Maple syrup.
You want to use maple syrup and carve your own? Have at it.
Matt Welsh says, hands down my favorite muley form, and Pat Reed says those mule deer forms fit Kansas mule deer great.
Nice. Thank you, guys. Okay, now we just laid this on here, and the first thing I want to do is, and usually stretch your hides out. Tannery shrinks hides up. Stretch them out so you get the right height or right width, so you get your seam coming together. The first thing I'm going to do is position my brisket. Look at that brisket. It laid in there. I did nothing. I don't have it riding up the shoulder. I don't have it falling off the back. It just lays there like it's supposed to. Now, if this was a tube, I would leave him upright, and I would slide it on like a sock, and then test my seam. This, I'm going to stretch him out a little bit. Okay, feel that. Can you sew that up? That's pretty darn good, isn't it?
That's really good. Yeah, that's really nice.
All the way up, and including the shoulders. I'm within, without stretching hard, I'm within a 1/4 inch the entire way.
And worth noting too, as you test fit this, we've done some repairs. So this deer did have a bullet hole in the neck that we've already taken out and sewed up for repair. If you had a great big hole, maybe go ahead and do that repair before you test fit him,
Mm-hmm.
just to make sure he's going to fit with the repair.
And now it's going to fall off if I. Do we have a couple? Jake, would you have a couple big pins? We're just going to see what this nose even looks like. It might be something we don't even want to use.
If you want.
Perfect. Thank you.
So as you're pinning him on there and test fitting, another thing that we're going to test fit here in a few minutes is the ear liners. So we'll test fit all of our parts, including the nose, before we get committed with glue and stitches and sewing. A good meticulous test fit will make your life and your job much easier during the mounting process, and that's really what we're after.
There's not too many people that have been in this business as long as like John and I, however. In the olden days, we used to use paper forms, and most of you think of paper as different than what paper forms were, but they were literally made of paper, laminated together, and there was not much building them up or shaving them down. What you got, you had to be pretty crafty. It took a month to reshape something like that. And because I didn't know about test fitting everything before you get started, why would you ever do that? I mounted a life-size mule deer, and there's one I shot, luckily, thank goodness. And as I started sewing, the legs didn't come together. I mean, like at all. I've got big red paper showing through, and I thought, well, maybe I'll patch it later. And when it comes to the belly, I've got red paper showing through with big old railroad tracks going through. Well, I'll patch that later too. I never got it patched. I sold it to the DNR for a decoy, and it was one of my first mule deer I ever shot. I'm just going to lay this on here and get an idea of the shape, and to make sure that these lips are going to pull around. The lips lay right in the crack very nicely. Ooh, this is so pretty. I might just give you a little tool. Look at this. It's right here. This is a little eye tool. Oh yeah. And look at that. That lip hangs right where it's supposed to hang. That nose looks awfully, awfully good. Look at that.
And a worthwhile measurement that, because we do offer the nose without the form, so if you wanted to put that on a different mule deer form, one of the critical measurements is this height from the nostril, from the bottom of the nostril to the top of the lip line. And with a pair of calipers, you can check from a reference cast this height versus this height. That's very critical to make sure that you have that correct. We've done that already. The form has, Brian's got that nose sculpted so that is very precise to reference and fits very nicely. But if you're using that, nose on a different form that doesn't have the pre-cut, you're going to want to make sure that you check that and caliper that measurement.
This is just fun when you get something new, and look at how nice that fits. We get excited. Have you ever started something and you don't know how it's going to turn out? You don't know what it's going to look like? I've mounted mule deer before that if it wasn't for the hair, people would think they're frogs or something, you know? Look at this. This guy's looks good. That just couldn't be any better. Brian Olson's been around mule deer forever, and that's his nose, and we've got, like you said, a couple different sizes. There will be a large available pretty soon, along that will fit the bigger mule deer. We also have this in an early season for the muzzleloader people and the archery people. Yeah,
Little different pose. That's a semi-upright.
Semi-upright. But just by laying that on there and spending 30 seconds positioning that, knowing that he's going to fit, I'm excited to get started.
It's going to look nice.
So I'm going to take this off, and while we're doing this, maybe you want to test fit an ear.
Yeah.
Tell them a little bit about the ears.
You guys got to give a shout out to Caitlin real quick. This is Caitlin's first live being away from us, and she's supposed to be on vacation, but she's watching you.
Oh my goodness.
No. Hi, Caitlin. We miss you.
We miss you.
We miss you.
And Travis Millard, who loves the mule deer and antelope forms from us, wants to know when we're going to offer an antelope replacement nose.
Oh my goodness. I haven't been antelope hunting in years. I think we should
Maybe
go.
we better go. We
better
just
go.
had that for blacktail. Kodiak
Yeah.
having blacktail. We are going there.
So you're gonna do what?
Well, you just go ahead. Hand me the bondo. Maybe I will think about.
Okay.
Should I put antlers on
Yeah.
for you? Oh, also show him that fleshing job. You did a very nice job of fleshing and.
And this is worth noting, we've already done some repairs, we've done some fleshing. Jordan, if you want to come up here, I'll hold this for them. One of the keys to making any parts fit, mannequin, artificial parts, is a good job of fleshing. And this cape, we've fleshed the rhinarium, or the black portion of the nose, so you can actually see the black coming through. It's very nice and thin. The nostril skin itself is extremely thin. And that's going to tuck in really nice for us. It's also very smooth, so we're not going to have any lumps and bumps. We've got a little extra tuck skin here for our lip line. We'll probably trim that up just a little bit. You can see, those of you that are not in the taxidermy world, those little holes right there are going to tuck in, and those will go away. You'll never know that they're there. We've done a little bit of sewing. We had mentioned this deer was caped when it came in. It had some little issues. We've sewn that piece of skin right there just so we'd have something to tuck. And with that same detail, we've come up into the eye area, thinned all the way around the eye orbit, not just the eye skin itself. Split into the little oil glands. We've got the tear duct. Tear duct is a very problematic area on a mule deer, and that's also very thin, very thin. Yeah, so that's what we'll do. We'll make any repairs. You can see little hole in the front corner, got a stitch. That was put together. The back corner of the eye on this one was cut, and we've got that sewn back together. A little couple of stitches here and there, and he's pretty well ready to go. We do have a little more work to do in our ears. You can see we had a notch in the ear here that we're going to have to sew up. We've got a little spot there we're going to sew. But the ear is turned basically out to the edge. We've also split these little leaders that are right through here. We found that you gain probably a half an inch, or I should say a quarter of an inch on the interior skin, which is nice for test fitting a good fitting ear. We've left the cartilage on the bottom, and for our commercial work, we leave that, and it gives a real nice ear interior.
Do you all sell any ear liners that are meant to use without removing the cartilage?
These work very well. These are nice, thin. This is the 200 MD, and any of the thermoform ear liners that we manufacture from either the Gary's ear line or the 200 series work well with the cartilage. They would add a little bit of thickness, but these are very thin and give some rigidity, and that works very well.
And what do you use to thin? I assume you're
thin. What we're shading to thin our hide. Generally, I'm going to use a scalpel. A scythe knife is a great tool for you guys that are fleshing. By hand, Dremel tool. There's a lot of people that like the Dremel. You had the Dremel out today with one of the students, and they loved it.
Once the hide is dry enough, the Dremel is pretty. I mean, you can really get them fine tuned.
Yeah. So again, that goes back to your comment earlier. If a chainsaw works for you, use it. We're going to use just a scalpel and a beam to flesh over. So, but that's what we're looking for. Do you want to tell them what you're doing?
Well, we've already trimmed these antlers so they conform to the mannequin. And I'm going to, I filled it full of auto body putty. A lot of times we'll use mache. We've got our mache is a great skull building material. And I think I pre-drilled a hole here somewhere. There it is. There's the hole. And but for this particular situation, we're going to use auto body putty. And I'm going to line it up. A lot of you try to line up this fissure with the center of the seam on the form, and that works great, provided if the mold builder divided that perfectly in half, and sometimes it's not. So don't go by your seam, kind of go by the sides here, go by your burrs, make sure that they're centered over the eye swells. The back of your skull should run down the center of the head. And look at your reference pictures for angle.
Jig and Jim, going back to the ear liner part, we get fighters. Customers like the part that the deer was king of the woods. So what if the deer had big splits in the ears and the customer wants it left?
Yeah, we actually get that too. That's not, I don't think that's an uncommon request. This deer, we don't have any splits to, but it works very well to split those cuts as well as you can, all the way to the very edge. Say we had, don't look. I'm gonna write on this, and we're gonna put an imaginary split in here. Ooh, look at that great big one right there. In that case, if this deer was split there, we would split this out. I would take the ear liner itself. You can take the cartilage out in one piece and use that as a template, put it onto the ear liner and trace it out and make the cut. Or if your cartilage didn't come out in one piece, you can lay the cartilage over the skin, over the cartilage side, and if we had a void where that split was, we could come in on the other side and we could trace that cut. And then I would remove that space with scissors, go back over the edge with some sandpaper to thin the edge, and mount it just as you would any other ear liner. It will fit specific to that ear.
And what's really nice about our fabric line of ear liners, which is Brian Olson's Mule Deer one Brett's holding, is they're very easy to trim and get it to the desired shape that you want.
They trim great. They're nice and thin. This material is very easy to work with for ears. So that works out really well. You can customize your ear liner in any way. If you were to find through the test fit, which I'll show you now, if you found that ear to be a little too snug, very simple to alter the ear and trim it to fit. So I'm going to take the right ear, I'm going to take the right side of the deer, just making sure, and we're going to slide this in. Notice I have not roughed up the ear liner yet. I will do that a little bit. But after the test fit. So I'm going to take that cartilage that we left in the bottom, flip it so it goes down, bring the skin around just as we would if we were mounting it. And what you're looking for is a very relaxed fit. We're going to make sure that all the skin edges are properly arranged. Tuck this down in, and then you can see we still have a very, very relaxed ear. This touches through here. It's not tight across. It lays in there without any stress at all. Your best opportunity for an ear that doesn't drum is a nice relaxed fit, and that's what we have from this one. It fit really good. The skin actually needs to go.
What would you recommend to use for a life-size beaver ear liner?
Oh man, that's a trick question.
Do we not have them?
I bet if I had to guess, I could think of 5 people that might be might be asking that question, and none of them are. I think what we would use is probably something like epoxy sculpt, critter clay. That's a very, very small ear, and you could use Bondo.
Or you can, this stuff, you don't want to buy a yard of this, but I bet you they got samples where you could take the cartilage from that beaver's ear, and you could lay it onto a sheet of this.
So we're selling beaver ears and
Trim it out and make your own is what I'm thinking.
I think you could probably go up to Walmart and buy some artificial fingernails.
There you go.
Maybe they would go
There
right
you
in
go.
there. They're not very
being
big. They're
serious.
pretty small. I am not.
I was excited to hear Chicken Jim. I haven't heard his name for a long time. Have you guys been ignoring his questions? Has he been on there all the time?
Have you been watching? He did just ask a question, but it made me sad. Jig and Jim wants to know if we still have pet deer in our pen for the students to look at.
That's why it made you sad.
I know. No, we actually are, we're getting buildings all around us, and we are now in a residential area.
We have 50 solar panels where the deer are.
Yeah, we're solar paneling it up. I know.
Sad.
So we have 2 mandarin ducks and 1 lonely female peacock, and a bulldog for a week.
Pit bull.
It is a bulldog.
And 30 years worth of photographs and reference casts from the deer that we use that.
Okay, now as far as the putting the antlers on in auto body putty, only reason I use that is because it's fast. We don't have to wait for mache to set, and I set the antlers down in it. I have 1 pilot pole ready to fasten them on. You don't want to just set them there and have somebody bump into them and knock them down. Oftentimes we use mache. Mache works great. But on our big stuff like elk and sheep and things like that, moose, we typically use auto body putty, to fasten it on. But now I put this on and it's pretty rough right now. I'm waiting for it to gel, and as soon as it gels, I'm going to take my cut-saw rasp like this, and I'm going to shape that. When the auto body putty is kind of hard and ready to go, I can shape it real easy with this. I can do it with a knife, but this gives you a really lot of control. So I'm not going to leave this for a second until it's time to shape.
You can see this ear, I groomed it, and we've got a really nice fit. All the interior lays nice and tight. And that's about all I need to know for the ears. I'm going to trust that because I don't have any abnormalities, shapes, I'm only going to test fit 1. So we'll take this out, and just like we're going to prep the form, I'm going to prep the ear liners so that we can model them onto the mannequin. These are what I would call a multi-position ear liner because there is no predetermined ear butt. We're going to have to build the ear position, the ear butts. So these ear liners, you can use any kind of adhesive. What are some of the adhesives people like to use?
Well, we've used German Grip, and we've used Pro One, and we used to use a lot of epoxy. We don't use the epoxy so much anymore, but if you don't use an epoxy, you better come in the next day and make sure that you check them. Yep.
On the Pro One note, just to get people excited, that's not in the catalog or online yet, but we have 2 pallets getting shipped to us that went out today, and they contain their chemicals. So we will have in-house Pro One chemicals probably in a week and a half.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And we have Pro One high paste in gallons and 5 gallon.
Yep.
So no matter what adhesive you use for an ear liner, it is a good idea to rough it up just a little bit. These are not made with a mold release, which is very nice, but there is a little bit of a smooth surface on the inside from the manufacturing process. So I'm just going to come in with a form rougher, and I'm going to rough the interior. See, I'm just starting to give a little bit of rough texture to the interior of this ear. I'll go over the back very quickly, but typically your drumming issues occur on the inside, on the interior curve, not the exterior, so most people won't have to do any work there. This small little detail rougher is nice to get in there. It's smaller in size, so it gets inside your ear liners really nicely. You can get down into all the detail. And we'll rough these first because we don't want to have to disturb them after they've been modeled onto the mannequin. So we'll do all of our roughing now.
And you're using our detail form rougher, which has a new no slip design.
Yes. Yep. Very nice. And that is a channel that the pad sits into, and it can't come out of on either side. And I'll do the same with the other one. Worth noting, these are very sharp. Keep your fingers away from them. And how's your... yeah.
I think good. Are you done with that cape?
I am done with the cape for the time being.
Can I show them our sewing machine?
Sure.
Now,
that might be a little sound.
this is going to be way faster to mount if you lay it out on the table and sew him up as if he was a short cape deer. It's easier to sew that on a flat surface than standing over it and keep pulling up the hide. So Jacob, would you come here a minute? We have the best sewing machine going. Would you sew that up for us, please?
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
He is a fantastic little sewer.
Multi-talented, hockey player, pro fisherman, sewing machine.
Right. I'm not sure where we'd be without him.
Okay, now I just took the cups all wrapped is great for shaping Bondo or foam. When you use Bondo, my Bondo was kind of soft and I kind of loaded up the grip. And all you have to do is squirt a little lacquer thinner on there, wire brush, and it's like the day you bought it. These things will last forever. I bought the first one at a World Show at the Sugar Pine booth. Oh man, 20 years ago, and I still have it, and it's carbide. I love the grit doesn't come off. They come in different shapes and styles and lengths.
They work great. There's two different, you mentioned different grits. The fine grit for you fish carvers works really well for your softer fish foam. Really like.
Yeah, if you don't have a cut saw file, it'll be your go-to.
Yeah. Yep. It's far and away best tool for.
Would you like to put an ear on?
I don't know that I could get an ear done in the time, but we can sure give it a go. Our customer request is slight ears back. We've got a fairly narrow rack here, so these mule deer have such wide ears. We're going to model them in a slight back position, so gonna look for something maybe in here, just to get them back out of the way. You can see the bottom of the ear cartilage that we left in will come here, and there's an indication on all of the Sage Brush mannequins where that ear canal will enter the skull. That's right here, so it's very important that we be mindful and keep this in this position, continuous, whether it's a forward ear or ears back. So we're going to use that as an indicator, and we're going to model these ears into a back position. In order to do that, I do have to remove just a little bit of foam to go very far back to accommodate this little bit of a swell here in the cartilage. Can I do this side?
Yeah, you can do this.
So I'm going to go right there, and I'm just going to come up and around and remove just a little bit of material. Not a whole bunch.
Now this wouldn't be necessary unless you put them back farther than what the cartilage will allow.
So just gonna take that out. Not hit the camera with the phone. Give this a nice shape, and then I'll borrow your cut saw. Just a little bit, move it out. And we've got some great reference casts too that we have them in a whitetail style, but I'll use them for the mule deer. Should be very similar in musculature. You deer guys are probably gonna barbecue me for that comment, but
a bird's a bird, a fish is a fish, and a deer is a deer.
But we'll refer to a cast here, and this is a very nice reference cast put together by, I believe this one's Mark's, isn't it, Tom? Mark Behind's reference cast, and you can see the different muscles are numbered. I'm going to use that in conjunction with my ear position here.
So for those of you that have that reference cast, it doesn't hurt to write the numbers on there.
Those are secret.
That's
a combination to the
I would totally write them on there. And
that
that's
was
how you do it.
Brian Olson's. He gave us a diagram at one of the shows and said, this is how you want to put them on in this order, because the muscles do lay over one another. And so that was Mark Gonering's whitetail cast, so we kind of transferred those numbers on there.
And we sell it ears forward, ears back, or a pair.
In the reference cast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adam White, real quick, is saying, getting more and more into taxidermy, small business in Pennsylvania that's starting to grow. Just got your catalog in the mail, really looking forward to trying your products. With that, make sure, Adam, that you take a selfie or a creative picture with our catalog, because we are running a contest, and the winner gets $100 of Matuska butts to put toward whatever you'd like from our catalog. And right now we have about 13 entries, so enter in for your chance to win.
And so out of habit, I like to, even though I'm in a position one here, I like to be able to work on them together, at least be able to see them together. And I just use an upholstery pin to kind of hold it in place so that I can step back and look at it. Tom, when he set the antlers, you notice he walked off camera so he could stand back in the way. That's pretty important to be able to walk out in front of us. I don't have to do this anymore. No. But it is nice to be able to step back and look, and that's hard in this little format, but how does that look?
It looks good. Something I always preach to the students is don't look at them from 2-3 feet away. A lot of times we're telling them to step back, and they will just back up and look. You can really tell a lot from 15 feet across the room. So going clear across the room where you can really line stuff up, whether it's eyes or, form straight on a mounting stand, or, antlers, is very, very helpful to me anyway. And we found, teaching people for the last 40 years, not everybody has a built-in level in their head, and some people are very good at it and can tell you that's crooked or that's straight, and there's people that lack that. And if you don't have that ability, and if things are always a little bit on the crooked side, you might want to get yourself a little laser level that's on a tripod that you can crank up. Get your deer lined up straight with the laser level. You can have that little red line going straight across from eye to eye. Those are very helpful. But if you don't have that built-in ability to level things, you're going to want to come up with some support, like the laser level or like a level or whatever it happens to be, because it's ultra important in this business, I guess.
Yep, and that's worth saying too. We mentioned the level. We set this mannequin up earlier with a torpedo level just to make sure the back was square. Before you get putting on any parts, antlers, nose, ears, make sure the form is level to thumb to the wall, so it'll be flush to the wall. And then make sure your eyes are level, and that can help you too.
And some people, we see people do it a lot of times, they'll take a level and they'll put it on the wood block on the top. I wouldn't go by the wood block on the top because we divide these mannequins or the sculptures, and when we mold them, and there are times where, you know, that wood block cannot be not always straight on there, so.
So again, we're going to model these. We've done a couple videos modeling ears before, so we're going to do kind of an abbreviated version of this, but it's worth saying, go ahead and rough your form. Do not rough this area because the way we're going to do this, our clay, we intend for our clay to not to stick to the mannequin, or to stick to the ear liner and come off in one piece. So I'm just going to kind of get a little bit of material on here.
This is a method that we kind of got from the Wisconsin show, and the Wisconsin people is when they first started instructing people on whitetails, they modeled their ears out. How in the world are you going to get this mounted or get the ears in with the ears already put onto the mannequin? We're going to pop those ears off, but this is going to look like a hairless deer. We're going to have the eyes in, we're going to have the nose on, we're going to have the lips not cut, we're going to have it all completely ready to mount. It's going to look like a hairless mule deer, and then we'll pop those ears off, and they're going to go right back exactly into the position that we left them.
So I just got some material there, the under part of the muscle to hold it in place. And now I'm going to start sculpting over. We've got about 5 minutes of time, so I'm going to go fast. If you want to
go.
If you want to talk, I'm going to be on your side. But
I don't know if I could talk for 5 minutes.
Come over there.
Did I tell you about my day? I got attacked by go away.
Okay. So I'm going to start filling in some gaps here. And then using my reference material, I'm going to model this ear, and it's going to be somewhat rough. We'll come back off camera and finish it up, but basically we're going to come in here.
So next week we will have the ears done, ready to put into the skin. We will have the form roughed up. That's something that I kind of jumped out of order, and we would have roughed them up with the form rougher like this. Anytime you rough up a deer, it doesn't matter what method you use, but drumming, any of you know, drumming is where the skin shrinks and it pulls away from the valleys. So we would want to rough up this area, any of this musculature in here, any of the muscles on the side, and especially our briskets. We want to get our armpits, we want to rough those up so that your glue has something to stick to. These are made with a mold release, so there's probably a residue of mold release on the mannequins, and if they're shiny slick, you can glue them down, and no matter what kind of glue you use, it's probably going to pop loose. So we want to rough that up with a form rougher. There's a lot of different ways to do that. We even have a tool called form perforator. Should I get that shown?
No, please don't. Please don't. Take our word for it.
The form perforator will rough up your form for you instantly.
And your brain and your eardrums. And I'm going quick across these. It's worth noting a really good tutorial on ears is in that Taxidermy University DVD. Goes through muscles step by step. Clint goes through them. That competition whitetail DVD. He spends a lot of time on ear placement and where those go.
Any of those Taxidermy University DVDs are excellent.
Tremendous resources. We've just got so many tools today, great reference material and instructional references that anybody that really wants to do this, anybody can.
I always tell the story that when I started, we didn't have, our only reference was Field and Streams and Outer Life. That's all we had. And you people will not believe this, but in the 70s, Field and Stream and Outdoor Life did not have pictures of turkeys. There weren't turkeys. No, Iowa had no turkeys in the 70s, and turkey was kind of a rare thing. Now it's largemouth bass, white-tailed deer, and turkeys on every magazine cover. So I get a turkey in to redo for somebody that took it to a taxidermist, didn't like it, and so they brought it to me, and I had zero work, and they said, "Can you fix up this turkey for me?" And I said, "Sure." And it's got this red head that they used the real head, and they'd skinned it out and turned it inside out and filled it full of mache, and the turkey was like a loaf of turkey head was like a loaf of bread. So I need to know what a turkey head looks like. We had no turkeys. I'd never seen a wild turkey in my entire life. So I go, I know, the Sioux Falls Zoo. Somebody says, they got turkeys over there. I go to the Sioux Falls Zoo, and I look at these blue and red and white turkey heads, and I thought, no way. There's no way I'm going to paint a turkey head to look like that, because it's impossible that anything would look like that. Now you can find reference for turkey heads, you can find reference for anything, but back then you had to be pretty crafty and get up pretty early in the morning to paint a turkey head.
So what color did you paint your turkey?
I don't think it was the right color.
Again, worth noting, I'm just kind of referring back and forth to some of those little muscle structures here. I've got one place, I've got two. You can see the width of muscle number 2, and I'm probably twice that in width. One little idea of that I'm stealing from Taxidermy University video is you can take your clay and put it right on top of your reference cast to get approximate widths. Peel it off here and bring it there, and look at how wide I am. Really, really wide. So, very simple fix for me right now. I'm just going to come in here and make that much narrower.
And something to note also is we have to put skin and hair over it.
Yes.
So people tend to do a beautiful, accurate job of rebuilding their ear butts only to put skin, you know, an 1/8 inch of skin and 1/2 inch of hair on there, and your ear butts will look mammoth.
Yes.
So kind of underbuilt is a little on the safe side.
Well, I've got a few more muscles to do here. We should probably get to our giveaway and some of those other things. And we'll show them these ears all completed next week.
This is a pretty good giveaway. This is what we're giving away, huh?
That's a great book. I've had that
Mule
book
Deer
for
Country?
years. Yep. I didn't even know it was still in print.
Gorgeous pictures. Lot of information, written information, as well as photography. A lot of beautiful mule deer in here. A lot of reference on ears. Great book. Great.
Yeah.
But great book for the North American Hunting Club, and we're going to give that away to
Someone.
Maybe. The way we normally do it, we usually pick a couple different winners from last week. Anybody that liked and shared our video went into a pool, and we've got a winner selected from that pool of people that liked and shared last week. And the first person to be selected is
Lori Bell.
Lori Bell. So Lori Bell, if you're watching, comment in, let us know you're there, and we will get that added for you. And if not, you've got about 2 minutes. We will move on to another lucky viewer.
That's a nice giveaway. Very nice.
Number 3.
And Lori's here.
Oh,
good.
Great.
Good.
Very good. It's always nice to have.
I know.
That's actually
It makes me sad when they don't. Like they got bored with us and went away.
So Lori, we will get that added to your account. And I'll go out with your next order.
And next week we're going to show you, we'll probably rough this up, and those ears, you're going to paint them with
I'm gonna paint them with Pro 1.
Pro 1?
Yeah.
And the reason is that critter clay will dry and good chance of it breaking off. We also want to be able to move those ears once we put them back on. We want those ear butts somewhat flexible. By painting that with Pro 1, that Pro 1 will dry like a plastic bag around that clay and it will hold it all intact. So we're going to paint it with Pro 1. Dermagrip works good. Latex caulk works good. There's a lot of different things that you could coat your clay with, but you want to keep that clay moist and it'll firm up. It'll dry nice. It'll hold its shape, but you'll be able to move it a little bit once you mount the deer and put the ears back on. We will rough this up. We're going to cut a lip slot. We'll probably do that for you next week. We will glue in the ears for you next week. What else? We're going to set eyes. We'll show you how to set eyes. And that's probably going to come take care of the whole next session.
That's a lot.
And then the one after that, we might get our sewing machine back and might show you some speed sewing.
He'll start looking like a mule deer pretty quick.
And when this mannequin, nose, eyes, ears, gets you excited and it starts looking like a mule deer, your finished mount's going to follow suit and it's going to look good too.
Is that it for this
Are we
week?
out of time?
I think we are.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us. Join us next week. This buck is only going to get better and better and better. If you've never tried the Sage Brush Series Mule Deer and you want to mount along with us, get one this week and put it together, and you can follow us next week when we go through high setting and all of that. Available with the replacement nose or without the replacement nose. Comes in a variety of sizes, as well as the early season deer, which are for the muzzleloader, and archery bucks, where you're going to have a hard time finding a neck size for some of those critters. And join us next week and we will see if we can't make this into something. Thank you.
Thank you.